The underestimated fleet commander, Sarah Chen, stood in the observation deck of Lunar Station, watching the most unusual fleet in human history assemble before her eyes. The sight would have been laughable if the situation wasn't so desperate. Cargo, haulers, mining vessels, passenger liners, and even a few luxury yachts floated in formation around the massive space station. This was Earth's last hope, and it looked like a cosmic junkyard. The news had arrived 3 days ago. The Zephyrian Empire, a militaristic alien civilization with ships the size of cities, had begun their systematic conquest of human colonies. KEPLER-44 to be had fallen first, its defense fleet obliterated in minutes. New Horizon followed within hours. The pattern was always the same. The Zephyrians would arrive with overwhelming force, demand surrender, and when refused, they would demonstrate their power by destroying everything in sight. Sarah rubbed her tired eyes and checked her datapad. The official reports painted a grim picture. Earth's main battle fleets had been ambushed at the Centauri Junction, trying to establish a defensive line. Admiral Morrison's entire First Fleet had been wiped out. The Second and Third Fleets were scattered, their survivors fleeing toward Earth with enemy forces in pursuit. The Fourth Fleet was trapped defending the mining colonies in the asteroid belt. That left Earth with exactly what Sarah was looking at now: civilian ships hastily converted for war. "Ma'am, we have another arrival," announced Lieutenant Torres. From the communications station, Sarah turned to see a battered salvage vessel maneuvering toward the docking bay. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals, welded together over decades of repairs. Rust stains and impact marks told the story of a ship that had seen better days. "That would be the ironclad Redemption," Sarah said, reading from her list. "Captain Rex Martinez commanding." Captain Martinez was a legend among salvage crews. He had spent 30 years pulling wrecked ships out of asteroid fields and battle zones. His vessel, the ironclad Redemption, was built from spare parts and sheer determination. It wasn't pretty, but it could go places and do things that military ships couldn't dream of. As the salvage ship docked, Sarah made her way to the briefing room. In 20 minutes, she would address the captains of humanity's strangest fleet. She had no idea what to tell them. The briefing room filled quickly with an unlikely mix of people. There was Captain Martinez, his weathered face showing for decades of hard living in space. Beside him sat Captain Lisa Wong of the passenger liner, Stardream, looking uncomfortable in her crisp uniform. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the chief engineer from the cargo vessel Heavy Lifter, was already sketching modifications on her tablet. Captain James O'Brien of the luxury yacht Silver Dawn kept glancing nervously at the rougher-looking captains around him. Sarah stood at the front of the room and activated the main display. A tactical map of the solar system appeared, showing red markers approaching from multiple directions. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be direct. The Zephyrian Empire is coming, and we're all that stands between them and Earth. I know this isn't what you signed up for. Most of you have never fired a shot in anger. But right now, you're the Earth Defense Fleet, whether we like it or not." Captain O'Brien raised his hand tentatively. "Commander, my ship is designed for entertaining wealthy tourists. How exactly? Am I supposed to fight alien warships?" Before Sarah could answer, Captain Martinez laughed roughly. "Son, I've been hauling scrap for 30 years. You know what I've learned. Sometimes the best tool for the job is the one nobody expects you to use." Dr. Tanaka looked up from her tablet. "The captain has a point. Our ships weren't designed for warfare, but that might actually be an advantage. The aliens expect us to behave like a military fleet. They've studied human naval tactics, analyzed our weapons, prepared countermeasures for our standard strategies. But they've never fought cargo haulers and passenger liners. Sarah realized where Tanaka was going with this. Exactly. My ship, the heavy lifter, has magnetic grappling systems designed to move massive cargo containers. With some modifications, those systems could capture and redirect enemy missiles. Captain Wong's passenger liner has entertainment systems that could be repurposed for electronic warfare. Captain O'Brien's yacht has the most advanced navigation computer in the fleet. The mood in the room began to shift. Sarah could see the captains starting to think creatively about their vessels. Capabilities. Captain Wang spoke up for the first time. The Stardream has holographic projection systems throughout the ship for passenger entertainment. Could we use those to create false sensor readings? The Silver Dawn has a kitchen that could synthesize any chemical compound for exotic meals. O'Brien added, warming to the idea. Some of those compounds are highly explosive. Over the next several hours, the transformation began. Military engineers swarmed over the civilian ships, but instead of trying to make them look like warships, they enhanced what made each vessel unique. The heavy lifters' cargo bays became missile magazines with magnetic systems that could launch containers like massive bullets. The Stardream's passenger decks were converted into command centers, using the ship's communication systems to coordinate the entire fleet. The Silver Dawn became a mobile laboratory, its luxury amenities repurposed. For chemical warfare, the ironclad Redemption received the most dramatic modifications. Captain Martinez's salvage equipment was perfect for close quarters combat. His ship could grapple with enemy vessels, board them, or simply tear them apart with industrial cutting tools. 3 days later, the first test came. A Zephyrian scout force of 12 ships entered the outer solar system, expecting to find the scattered remnants of a broken defense fleet. Instead, they found something unprecedented. The battle began near Neptune, where the human fleet had taken position among the planet's rings. 2 Zephyrian sensors. The area looked empty except for ice and rock. Their ships moved in standard formation, scanning for hidden human vessels. The first attack came from directly beneath them. The heavy lifter emerged from Neptune's shadow, its magnetic launchers hurling container-sized projectiles at impossible angles. The Zephyrians had never seen anything like it. Their tactical computers couldn't predict the trajectory of cargo. Containers fired from civilian launchers. 2 alien ships took direct hits before they could react. The containers weren't filled with explosives. They were packed with metallic chaff that disrupted the alien sensor systems and made their weapons targeting erratic. While the Zephyrians struggled with sensor ghosts, the Stardream appeared from behind a ring particle cloud. Its holographic systems created the illusion of a dozen human ships attacking from all directions. The aliens fired frantically at targets that weren't there, wasting ammunition and revealing their positions. Then came the Silver Dawn, moving with the grace of a luxury vessel but leaving trails of chemical compounds in its wake. When the alien ships flew through these invisible clouds, their hull plating began to corrode. O'Brien had synthesized the most aggressive cleaning solvents imaginable, turning his yacht into a mobile acid dispenser. But the real shock came when the ironclad Redemption closed with the alien flagship. Instead of engaging in a gun battle, Martinez used his salvage grapples to lock onto the enemy vessel. His cutting tools, designed to slice through the hulls of wrecked ships, made short work of the alien armor. Within minutes, he had disabled their weapons and engines leaving the flagship helpless. The battle lasted 37 minutes. When it ended, 8 Zephyrian ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 4 fled toward the outer system, broadcasting frantic warnings to their main fleet. In the aftermath, as the human ships regrouped near Neptune, Sarah realized something important had happened. They had fought the Zephyrians and won, but more than that, they had fought in a way no one had ever seen before. The aliens' tactical databases, built on thousands of years of conventional warfare, were useless against cargo haulers and passenger liners fighting like pirates. Dr. Tanaka was the first to voice what everyone was thinking. "Commander, I don't think we're the Earth Defense Fleet anymore. I think we're something entirely new." Captain Martinez, still grinning from his successful boarding action, nodded agreement. Those alien boys came looking for a military fleet. Instead, they found a bunch of working folks with tools and bad attitudes. "The galaxy is going to underestimate us," Captain Wang added. "They'll see civilian ships and assume we're helpless. That assumption could win us this war." Sarah looked at the tactical display, showing the approaching Zephyrian main fleet. They had, perhaps, a week before the real battle began. But for the first time since the crisis started, she felt something she hadn't expected: confidence. The Zephyrians had studied human military doctrine, prepared for human weapons, and planned countermeasures for human tactics. But they had never encountered human stubbornness, creativity, and the willingness to turn anything into a weapon. When their homes were threatened, as the strange fleet prepared for the battles ahead, word began to spread through the galaxies. Communication networks. The humans had assembled something unprecedented: a fleet of cargo ships, passenger liners, and salvage vessels that fought like nothing anyone had ever seen. Asterisk. Some alien civilizations laughed at the reports. Others began to wonder if they had underestimated humanity. A few wise species started to consider that perhaps the most dangerous military force in the galaxy might not look like a military force at all. The Rust Bucket Brigade, as they had begun calling themselves, was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about human ingenuity, and the Zephyrian Empire was about to discover that sometimes the most lethal weapon is the one your enemy never sees coming. The precision strike revolution. The Zephyrian main fleet arrived at Earth 7 days later, and Admiral Crix was not pleased. The reports from his scout ships sounded impossible. Civilian vessels fighting like elite military units, cargo ships performing precision strikes, passenger liners conducting electronic warfare. It had to be some kind of human deception. Admiral Crix commanded the Eternal Dominion, a massive dreadnought that served as the flagship for the Zephyrian 7th Fleet. His armada consisted of 200 warships, each one a masterpiece of military engineering. They had conquered 17 star systems, using proven tactics and overwhelming firepower. These humans, with their improvised fleet of workships, would be dealt with quickly and efficiently. But as his fleet approached Earth's outer defenses, Crix began to understand that something had changed in the galaxy's understanding of warfare. Commander Sarah Chen watched the alien approach from the bridge of her new flagship, a converted deep space transport called the Unity's Dream. Over the past week, her fleet had grown to nearly 400 ships. Word of their victory against the Scouts had spread throughout human space, and every captain who could fly had volunteered to join the fight. More importantly, they had used the time to refine their tactics. What had started as desperate improvisation was becoming something unprecedented, a new form of warfare that turned civilian capabilities into military advantages. Dr. Tanaka had become the fleet's tactical genius, developing strategies that no military academy had ever imagined. Her latest innovation was the precision swarm technique, where multiple civilian ships would coordinate their unique capabilities to achieve surgical strikes against enemy vessels. "Admiral Crix is broadcasting surrender terms," reported Lieutenant Torres. Sarah nodded. "Put him on screen." The alien admiral appeared on the main display, his scaled features arranged in what humans had learned was a contemptuous expression. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship gleamed with polished metal and advanced technology. "Human Commander, I am Admiral Crix of the 7th Fleet. Your planet has been designated for incorporation into the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender immediately, and your people will be allowed to serve as workers in our industrial systems. Resist, and we will demonstrate the futility of opposing our might." Sarah smiled calmly. "Admiral Crix, this is Commander Chen of the Terran. Civilian Defense Cooperative. We appreciate your offer, but will have to decline. You have 12 hours to withdraw from our system before we're forced to remove you." Crix's expression shifted to what might have been amusement. "Commander, I have 200 warships. You have a collection of cargo haulers and passenger ships. How exactly do you propose to remove us?" "Very carefully," Sarah replied, and ended the transmission. The battle began at dawn, Earth time. But instead of the massive fleet engagement that Crix expected, the humans opened with something the galaxy had never seen. Coordinated precision strikes by ships that shouldn't have been able to coordinate at all. The first wave came from the mining vessel Deep Core 6, commanded by Captain Helena Rodriguez. Her ship had spent decades drilling through asteroids, and Rodriguez had learned to place explosive charges with millimeter precision. Now, instead of breaking apart rocks, she was targeting the exact weak points in Zephyrian hull designs. Deep Core 6 approached the alien fleet using the same techniques Rodriguez employed in asteroid fields. Slow, careful positioning with sudden bursts of speed. Her mining charges, redesigned by Dr. Tanaka's team, were no larger than softballs, but packed with enough explosive power to breach military armor at precisely the right spots. The Zephyrian ship, Void Striker, never saw the attack coming. Rodriguez placed her charges along the vessel's power coupling joints, exactly where the ship's armor was weakest. The explosions severed the connection between the alien ship's reactor and its weapons systems, leaving it helpless without destroying it completely. "Impossible," Admiral Crix muttered as he watched one of his cruisers go dark. Mining equipment cannot achieve that level of precision against military targets. His tactical officer shook his head in confusion. "Sir, their approach patterns don't match any known combat doctrine. They're treating our ships like industrial targets." That was exactly what they were doing. To Rodriguez, a Zephyrian cruiser was just another big rock that needed to be broken apart efficiently. She knew exactly where to strike to disable it with minimum effort and maximum effect. The second wave came from an entirely different direction. The passenger liner, Stardream, now serving as a mobile command center, had coordinated 12 cargo vessels in what Dr. Tanaka called a supply chain assault. Each cargo ship carried a different payload. Some had massive electromagnets that could disrupt alien navigation systems. Others carried clouds of metallic particles that interfered with sensors, and a few transported what appeared to be simple shipping containers, but were actually precision-guided kinetic projectiles. Captain Wong orchestrated the attack, like she was managing passenger services on a luxury cruise. Each cargo ship knew exactly when to release its payload, where to position, itself and how to support the others. The result was a symphony of destruction that turned the aliens' formation into chaos. The Zephyrian ships found themselves flying blind through clouds of metallic interference, while massive electromagnets pulled their vessels off course. When they tried to regroup, precision kinetic strikes from the cargo containers disabled their engines and weapons with surgical accuracy. But the most devastating attack came from an unexpected source: the luxury yacht Silver Dawn and its captain, James O'Brien. O'Brien had transformed his yacht into something unique in the galaxy, a chemical warfare vessel that could synthesize compounds on demand and deploy them with the precision of a master chef. His target was the Zephyrian flagship itself. The Silver Dawn approached the Eternal Dominion using stealth systems, originally designed to avoid paparazzi and government inspectors. Once in position, O'Brien released a cocktail of compounds that he had spent days perfecting, a binary agent that would remain harmless until the two components mixed in the presence of the specific alloys used in Zephyrian hull construction. The reaction began slowly, just a slight discoloration on the flagship's armor plating. But within minutes, the chemical process cascaded through the ship's entire outer hull. The aliens found themselves trapped inside a vessel that was literally dissolving around them. Admiral Crix watched in horror as his impregnable dreadnought began to come apart at the molecular level. His tactical computers had no explanation for what was happening. The humans were using weapons that didn't exist in any military database. "Sir, we're receiving reports from across the fleet," his communications officer announced, his voice shaking. "The humans are attacking each ship differently. They seem to know exactly how to disable our vessels with minimal effort." That was because they did know. Dr. Tanaka's team had studied every piece of debris from the Scout battle, analyzing Zephyrian construction techniques with the same attention to detail that human engineers use to build civilian ships. They understood the aliens' technology better than the aliens understood human capabilities. The mining ships struck at structural weak points with industrial precision. The cargo vessels used their loading systems to deliver payloads with supply chain efficiency. The passenger liners coordinated everything with the same attention to detail they used to manage thousands of travelers. Even the luxury yachts contributed, using their advanced systems to create weapons that no military had ever imagined. Asterisk, asterisk. By the time the battle entered its third hour, the Zephyrian 7th Fleet was in full retreat. They had lost 127 ships without destroying a single human vessel. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a demonstration that everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare had become obsolete. Admiral Crix, now commanding his fleet from an escape pod after his flagship dissolved completely, transmitted one final message to Earth. "Commander Chen, the Zephyrian Empire acknowledges your tactical superiority. We request permission to withdraw from human space." Sarah's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "Permission granted, Admiral. But understand this: Earth's civilian fleet is now operational. Any civilization that threatens human space will face the same precision response you've just experienced." The aftermath of the battle sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Terran Civilian Defense Cooperative had not just defeated a major military power, they had done it using ships that everyone had dismissed as harmless. The implications were staggering. Within weeks, alien civilizations began reassessing everything they thought they knew about military power. If humans could turn cargo ships into precision strike platforms and passenger liners into command centers, what other assumptions were wrong? Some species began developing their own civilian-based defense fleets. Others sought alliance with humanity, hoping to learn the secrets of precision warfare. A few, like the Zephyrians, withdrew from aggressive expansion entirely, realizing that the galaxy had become a much more dangerous place for traditional military thinking. Dr. Tanaka, now promoted to Strategic Development Director, established the Institute for Civilian Military Applications. Her first paper, titled Precision Over Power, The Cargo Ship Revolution, became required reading at military academies across known space. Captain Martinez retired his salvage operations to become an instructor at the new Tactical Adaptation School, teaching alien officers how to think creatively about their equipment and resources. Captain Wong found herself in command of the galaxy's first passenger liner battle group, using cruise ships and transport vessels to provide mobile command centers for emerging defense fleets. Even Captain O'Brien discovered a new calling, developing chemical warfare techniques that could disable enemy vessels without destroying them, revolutionizing the concept of non-lethal military action. But perhaps the most important change was in how the galaxy viewed humanity itself. No longer were humans seen as a young species with crude technology and limited military experience. They were now recognized as the civilization that had fundamentally changed the nature of warfare by proving that precision, creativity, and adaptability could overcome any amount of raw firepower. The scrap fleet had become the most lethal precision force in the galaxy, not through superior weapons or massive ships, but through the simple human insight that any tool could be a weapon if you understood exactly how to use it. And across the stars, whenever civilizations faced seemingly impossible military challenges, they would ask themselves a simple question: what would the humans do? The answer, more often than not, involved looking at their most ordinary, everyday equipment and finding extraordinary ways to use it. The age of precision warfare had begun, and humanity had written the first chapter.